Well, a very warm welcome. Thank you very much indeed for joining us for this session where we're going to have a look at a little bit about the makeup of Chinese shopping festivals. This session is called Dates with Destiny. Now, China has a rich 3,000 years worth of history. It's also the largest population in the world. None of those things will surprise you. But it also has a retail market like no other, and maybe that will surprise you. There are three very extraordinary features of retailing in China. The first is that the nation's shopping really does happen via online and happens via mobile. They're super apps that link browsing, discovering and sharing and also buying. And I suppose like many other markets around the world today, e-commerce has been accelerated by what we've gone through in terms of COVID, and in certain countries are still going through as well. Now, there are about 695 million internet users in China, and over 75% of those connect with mobile. Now, once the Chinese consumer goes online, they go shopping. And that's why over half the world's total e-commerce now takes place in China. Now, I'm also going to give you a few statistics because I think it's important to set the frame of those, but don't worry, there are only going to be a few numbers. Now, of course, the ability to pay digitally really did revolutionize the e-commerce success in China. And the Chinese consumers spend at least 2 hours per day on their smartphones. Now, mobile devices generate about 80% of e-commerce sales, and I suppose that compares to about sort of 36% for the rest of the world. And more than 80% of smartphone users in China actually use mobile payments. And again, if you compare that to the US, that's about 27%, or still is indeed 20%. Might have increased slightly over the pandemic period, maybe to 31. Now, 45% of households in China now are prepared to keep using the online stores that they've discovered for the very first time during the lockdown period, as indeed quite a lot of us probably will do in our own lives as well. Now, China is the home of shopping festivals. It's, I suppose if you want to summarize it, it's shared experiences all taking place sort of both online and taking place offline, enjoyed by friends, family, and as we'll talk a little bit later on, with celebrities as well. Now, it's as much about entertainment as it is about getting a good deal or getting a bargain, and we're going to talk a little bit about, in that sort of context, what a good deal is all about, because it's not just about a discounted price, and in certain categories now, across the 11 period, there is no discounting at all. Now, shopping festivals are here to stay and shaping the future of Chinese retail. So let's take a few minutes to contextualize how we've got into that particular place. What was the birth of the Chinese shopping festival? Now, traditional pre-Christmas shopping season in the West was about being able to buy products maybe that were discounted and to generate a whole series of sales. In China, we see an amazing amount of speed in terms of the way in which development happens. I'd categorize it as a different a different type of speed. China's speed is probably 30 times now the speed of other marketplace. Now, if we just compare for a few minutes, I suppose the shopping activities, the promotional periods that have been developed in the West, they tended to be around various different religious holidays. And they were needed then also to boost sales during the slow weeks, to shift excess stock. The sort of stock you may well have sung happy birthday to maybe 2 or 3 times whilst it was in the warehouse. Of course, Black Friday, the biggest single shopping day event in the US, that was the day after Thanksgiving where lots of people suddenly decided to take that day off and to hit the stores. And of course, it was called Black Friday because that was the first day of the year when a lot of retail stores moved from being unprofitable, red, to being profitable, black, and hence Black Friday. Of course, there are lots of other market-driven events, back to schools and Secretary's Days, all designed to get consumers in the mood to buy. Now, in China, there's no widely accepted religious calendar around which shopping festivals have really been built. Of course, there's the Spring Festival that marks the Lunar New Year. You know, that has several millennia in terms of its history, and that always brings additional spending, but it's normally on food and drink and latterly on international travel. And gift giving has traditionally centered on the traditional laissez, the cash presented in lucky red envelopes. Amazingly lucky if you get one of those envelopes and it's got lots of money in. Now, in 2000, the Chinese government created the Golden Weeks holiday periods, and they coincided with 2 national holidays, Labor Day on the 1st of May and the anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic in 1949, that was October the 1st. And on those periods, holidays were given, paid holidays were given, and the stores offered big discounts and special offers. You know, huge volumes of goods were sold over that period, especially electrical goods and white goods, goods where you had which were expensive, and you could defer your purchases of those to those periods. And because of their success, the Golden Weeks were very much a victim of that success as well. But Golden Weeks became associated with shopping. You know, the traditional Chinese holidays were more about family reunions and dining together. And here we see that first sort of link, because Golden Weeks made that very, very crucial link in consumers' lives between key dates and then reasons to spend. So from big spending Golden Weeks to mega spending shopping festivals. You know, one of the drivers of the growth of all of that was the simultaneous rise of the internet, connectivity and e-commerce, and what I believe was a stroke of marketing genius. So how do we go from Golden Weeks to shopping festivals? Well, it all started in Ningbo on the eastern seaboard, not that far away from Shanghai. And a group of young female students decided that on the traditional Valentine's Day in China, if you weren't attached to somebody, you didn't get a gift. And they thought, well, actually, why don't we purchase our own gifts? And they created this thing on 11th of 11th because in Chinese, 11/11 looks like the symbol of people who are unattached, and they created this festival activity around Ningbo. Well, of course, Alibaba, being the amazing understanding of Chinese consumers, but also understanding marketing, found out about this and thought, actually, that was a great idea. Well, why don't we ask all of our vendors on our platform for next year to give a small discount for the 11/11 day? And in the first time they did that, only 27 brands participated in the very, very first Singles Day. And that has grown to, as we saw earlier on, in 2000, $74.1 billion was spent over that 11/11 period. And of course, from an Alibaba perspective as well, that became the catalyst, because so much volume was going through, for their development of a much bigger ecosystem around cloud computing and logistics as well, in order to be able to cope with that volume. So the 11/11 festival became the greatest show on earth. Now, there's much more to shopping festivals than just the shopping as well. There are two big benefits. Great offers, of course, and products accessible for consumers very, very hungry for new products, but also massive and unrivaled exposure for brands and products, something crucial also for brands wanting to enter into the China market. Now, the excitement around 11/11 is not just about what people can buy themselves. It's become a combination of shopping, of entertainment, with exclusive live and live stream sort of content that very much links the physical world with the consumer's digital world. And that linkage between the two has become much more important and much more prominent over the course of the last few days. Now, traditionally, 11/11 started with a gala event, and now that is on the 11th, which is the end of the 11/11 period, and celebrities like Miranda Kerr and Daniel Craig and David and Victoria Beckham and Kobe Bryant and Taylor Swift, to name just a few, have participated in these mega events as well. In 2020, 26,000 plus brands, 84 countries and regions, offering 1.2 million new products from overseas to Chinese consumers. Now, many people compare 11/11 to Black Friday or Cyber Monday, and that's a mistake. So please don't do that. They are amazingly different. And to help us understand all of this, I'm delighted to introduce Professor Ivy Dang of the University of Hong Kong. Professor Dang, Ivy, thank you very much indeed for joining.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy, to share my knowledge about shopping festival in China.
Well, thank you very much indeed. It's getting late in the evening in Hong Kong. Thanks for joining us live. Ivy, perhaps you can first of all give us some sort of context, because clearly from its very origins in Ningbo, 11/11 has touched the hearts and minds and souls of the Chinese consumer. What is it about the psyche of Chinese consumers that is so attractive to the whole concept of shopping festivals?
Yeah, I think that it really stems from, our ancient culture. It's like from in the old days, how the Chinese farmers or the people live in village, how they shop. Actually, yeah, I think that really stems from this ancient tradition of gathering for festival shopping events. During the ancient time and in the old days, actually, still in many rural areas, they're still doing it. This is that so there are like traveling traders and who would stop in different villages on different days of a month, right? So they stop by different villages and on different days, and and typically for village people, like once in a month, they will have this opportunity to go to this market and for big shopping. So that's kind of like a festival, because it's very difficult to purchase goods, if these traveling traders are not there. So these traveling traders will gather, on that specific day, and the people will, just come out and shout out to each other, and the families and friends, everyone will, go to that market on that specific day of the month, usually happening once a month. And we call it 赶集 in Chinese. So it's really about an ancient culture, this type of shopping festival. So it's actually not new, but nowadays it's kind of like the e-commerce version of 赶集.
Now those shopping festivals or shopping occasions or market occasions, I suppose it's better to talk about them. I presume that in those ancient times, they were also a mixture of sort of entertainment, of meeting people, of seeing things that they hadn't seen before, of innovation being brought to them.
Yeah, exactly like that. So during the 赶集, this on the market, it's not only about selling and buying, but also, there are some entertainment, like, people there will show off their skills, for example, like whatever their, fancy skills, and people will give them some small money, and some people will sing, some people will dance, I think, and other people like can show some of their Chinese kung fu or Chinese magic tricks. So yeah, it's really what's happening, on this Ganji market. It's like a mixture of festival and shopping.
So what do you think it is about the link of the past to what we're seeing at the moment?
At the moment, I think now, speaking of the Alibaba, this type of shopping festival, it's really about unite two things. First is shopping, and the second is the festival, right? I think you also mentioned about, like, in the West, we have the Black Friday, right? We have the pre-Christmas sales. I think it's different from the Western type of shopping, because it's really just about shopping. It's about the promotions and the discounts, offer discounts. But now I think nowadays in China, what the Double 11 offers is more than that. It's about a festival where all the family, will, gather together and shop online. They will discuss what are the good deals, and even watch the, festival, like the Double 11 Countdown Gala Festival. The Double 11 Countdown Gala concert together to enjoy the moment. Yeah. To me, it's like, more like equivalent to festival, like the carnivals and Olympic Games, World Cups. Yeah, those kind of festival. Yeah.
Now, you're an expert both in marketing and consumer psychology. Putting those two things together, is there anything that is so specific to the Chinese market about shopping festivals that you think would not apply to festivals of some form working outside of China and Asia?
Well, I think, first of all, as I mentioned, we have this kind of ancient tradition. So, and also I think for Chinese is like, for our culture, we are more like family oriented, in a sense that we are now, many Chinese young people still live with their parents, right? And they, like, 3 generations live together. And this kind of family oriented shopping, I think that's quite unique in China compared to the Western world. Yeah. So people really like to shop together and discuss about shopping and share the experiences together. Yeah. I think that's a social part of shopping. And
let's explore the social part a little bit more, because in a sense, maybe over the pandemic period, the social side of shopping has not been as important, because many of us have been shopping inside of our homes as opposed to shopping outside, and shopping solely as opposed to shopping with our friends and our family. One of the new features that I've seen being introduced for this year's 11/11 is a way that you can shake your phone if it's near a phone of a friend of yours, and you can exchange the lists of items that you put into your shopping basket for 11/11. Explain to us the psychology of that, and why, in a sense, exchanging what it is that I want, what some friends want together, is something that is a catalyst for the socialization of the shopping experience over 11/11, and maybe the socialization of shopping as we go forward.
Yeah, I think that's part. To me, it's like, someone who you are close to, like your family or friends, who recommend something or share some good things with you. Really, that's, people will think that. I think that's because they trust, according to the past research, people trust the recommendation from friends, family more, right? Than even trust them like more than, nowadays, given the online review site, but still, like, family recommendation or friends recommendation ranks the first, in terms of trustworthiness. So I think by sharing these cards together, and to me, it's still like a recommendation. from friends or family, and they will trust that these items are good deals and they are good products with high quality, and that will excite the consumers because they are already in the purchasing momentum. They really want some good deals.
Now, Ivy, we're going to have another conversation in a few days' time where we're specifically going to be exploring the whole concept of trust, recommendation through the whole concept of live streaming, which has become a really important part of not only 11/11, but we're seeing live streaming being used right across the world, and I'm very confident that live streaming will in its own right become a major sales channel globally over the next few years. And you're going to help us do a deep dive into the business model and how all of that works. So we very much look forward to seeing you in a few days' time. But for the moment, Professor Ivy Dang from the University of Hong Kong, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, David. See you in a few days.
Look forward to it. Thanks very much indeed. Now, as we've just discussed, 11/11 is a key shopping festival, but like all things that are good and work very well, there are other ways of taking the same type of idea and developing them. So China now has a whole array of shopping festivals during the course of the year. Each shopping festival may well be targeted to different types of consumers and for different types of occasions. So let's take a look at the nation's shopping festivals in China day by day. Now, shopping festivals per se in China, and I believe increasingly more across the world, are going to be too big for brands to ignore. And success at these occasions does not rest on tactics. It's not about a discount. We're seeing live streaming come into flow. We're going to have a couple of sessions on that, as it's so important during the course of our broadcastings over the next 11 days. We're seeing how luxury is becoming a major area for the shopping festivals, and in the luxury sector there's not a discount in sight. It's all about content. It's all about creating a new experience as well. Now, it's very important, I suppose, to ensure that we all understand what are the key strategic drivers that are going to make your activity during a shopping festival work well. So here are just a few, 11 really quick snippets that we will be expanding on over the course of the 11 days with sessions specifically on a number of these. First of all, you need to be guided by the data. It's the data and the granularity of the data available during those shopping festivals that help you over the period. There's a great opportunity for brands to win sales even before the events begin, during the pre-sales period. They might well have been for singles to start with, but now they're for everybody. They're not all about the discounts. It's about innovation, creating new products, creating new experiences. It's now not just for products, it's also for the experience economy as well. There's shopping, and of course there's then shopping festivals. Now, your planning for shopping festivals must be almost perpetual. These things are too big to wake up one day and think, well, what should we do in a couple of months' time for the global 11/11 shopping festival? It requires supply chain, it requires manufacturing, it requires propositional work, it requires creating a whole lot of content. And again, we're going to have sessions on how to excel in all of those as well. And of course, the festivals might well have been, to start off with, for Chinese consumers, but they're also for foreign brands to celebrate as well. And data and creativity are very much your water and your oxygen today in order to make sure that your communications is targeted to the right consumer segment with the right messages at the right time. And those messages will change maybe several times a day, and certainly change several times over the course of the 11/11 period as you course correct, understanding through the data what's going on, and using data-led creativity in order to programmatically get to the right consumer at the right times. The events themselves are huge, but it's very important to understand that the brands that participate don't have to be. And we're going to show you some great examples of small to medium-sized brands that have used the 11/11 global shopping period to launch their brands, or to expand their brands, or to turbocharge their brands as well. And finally, the Chinese shopping festivals have massive reach, not just in China as we've seen, but also outside of China. And their influence in terms of setting some of the retail trends, the technology trends, the innovation trends, the communication trends to consumers right across the world, to be used within the context of your communications and your strategies for your products just in your domestic markets. So it's very important to keep a close, watchful eye on what's going on. And that's, I suppose, one of the key hypotheses and reasons that we are doing this broadcasting, in order that we all get and understand some of the insights that we can apply to our marketplaces as well. Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us for this section. Thank you very much to my guest, Professor Ivy, and we will be hearing, as we said, from her on a really interesting session on the business of live streaming, which is something she's done a lot of academic and business work on in a few days' time. Well, we'll be back in a few moments, but for now, from me, David Roth, WPP, thank you very much indeed for watching.